Hi Year 11s, I'm going to be making some videos to help you revise. Just bear in mind these are going to be very quick videos going over pretty much the basics for each theme, each character in the literature text. So I'm going to start with guilt in Macbeth. These are the same themes and characters that you started revising on in the last lesson. So first thing that I want you all to be thinking about is whatever the writer's message is to do with either that character or that theme. So when it comes to Shakespeare's message about guilt, an example would be something like guilt is unavoidable. Guilt will eventually make you crumble. No matter how strong or ruthless you may seem. Okay. And maybe I would say something like, no one can escape guilt, no matter how much power you have. Okay? These would be examples of lines of arguments. So remember, a line of argument is what you have in your thesis. Your entire essay is built around your line of argument, whatever your line of argument may be. Okay, your line of argument is your interpretation of what the writer is saying about that topic, whatever the question is in the exam. Okay, without having a line of argument, your essay is not really an essay. It's more like a few paragraphs of analysis. Okay, so now that we've got a few of those ideas, I now need to think of how Shakespeare's showing these in the text. So I'm only going to come up with an earlier part of the play, sort of like a middle part of the play, and then later on in the play. So I'm going to start with one of the biggest scenes for guilt in the text, which is Act 2, Scene 2. That is after Duncan's death. Okay, and there's three motifs actually, or there's three motifs that just come to mind right away. Those are that of blood, sleep, blood, sleep, and I want to say religion. I guess there's religious imagery throughout the text. So those three come up straight away in this scene. They're all linked to the overall theme of guilt. First one, if we look at religion. Okay, Macbeth hears people in their sleep saying amen. Macbeth cannot say amen. Now this is an example of you giving reference over quote. So you don't need to know the exact quote. That's still completely fine. As long as you say it's religious imagery, as long as you link religion to the fact that guilt is unavoidable if you sin, then that's completely fine. Okay, so that's one. Religion's one. Then let's go with sleep for the other motif. Macbeth has murdered sleep. Okay, and then let's go with blood, and you've got that lovely quote of, will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand. Okay. 3 quotes. You do not need, I guess, 3 quotes if you're writing that as one paragraph, but those are 3 quotes that relate to guilt for this. Second scene I want to think about is Act 3, scene, that's an S, scene 4, and that is the one with Banquo's ghost. Okay, I want to go with this quote: "Never shake thy gory locks at me." Okay, that is gory. This one has again that motif of blood. Okay, his guilt when it comes to killing his best friend. You could also say, actually, sorry, hallucinations for a motif. Hallucinations. And potentially a hallucination here. Potentially. Right, then you've got a different character, because you don't just want to talk about guilt when it comes to Macbeth. So let's talk about Lady Macbeth now. And the sleepwalking scene. Now in Shakespeare's time, they didn't actually have things like therapy, psychoanalysis or anything like that. Really, he was way ahead of his time. But out damned spot out, I say. Okay, Lady Macbeth's panic is apparent in the scene, her hallucination as well. So you've got that theme of blood. Okay, the motif, sorry, do not call blood a theme, please, yeah? So you've got blood, you've got the religious motif there with damned, this idea of damnation, her knowing that she is going to hell for what she has done, and the fact that that is really heavy on her mind. You've also got the hallucinations, the blood on her hands, the lack of sleep, yeah, being linked to guilt as well. Okay, so those would be your examples. I'm not going to actually explode each quote, but that's something that you can do in your revision as well. Context now, what's going on around Shakespeare to make him send out such a strong message about guilt? Something you probably want to speak about in every single essay is the divine right of kings, the idea that God had chosen the monarch, the king, and you may want to speak about the great chain of being. Now, Macbeth breaks both by committing regicide. Yeah, so remember please to always include your key vocabulary. Breaks both by committing regicide. So the great chain of being is this idea that everything is in a hierarchy with God at the top, plants and rocks at the bottom, but the king comes on earth anyways, just after God, yeah? So Macbeth breaks both by committing regicide. The reason why there's such a clear message against regicide in this play is because of King James, and the fact that Shakespeare, he had just become patron to Shakespeare's company, and the King's Men, who were, because of him, named the King's Men. He's basically paying Shakespeare's company, and why he might have been interested in this idea of guilt, this unavoidable guilt, is because of the gunpowder plot which happened the year just before, which was an act of treason against King James. So this idea that no one can commit regicide and get away with it, because either they will get killed, which Macbeth is killed at the end, or they will end themselves because of their guilt, which was what happens to Lady Macbeth. So overall, those are kind of the key ideas when it comes to guilt. Sorry that this went over a little bit. Any questions, just ask. All right.